what had happened was.
And you want them to make a decision, quite frankly, based upon your excuses for him. Doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. And won't.
It's easier to be a doctor than to be a lawyer, I guess.
Well, if you like the demotion of being a doctor, that's fine. Because I prefer being a lawyer. I prefer the system that we have. The system I believe and have faith in works.
Welcome to What Had Happened Was,
where we take a peek into actual court cases and give you commentary based on our unique perspective and experiences, and also give you informational tips and tricks to help you avoid a what had happened situation.
Before we get started, give us a thumbs up, a tasteful comment, subscribe to the channel to be notified of every video as they come out.
Thank you for listening. And again, I apologize if I was a bit more impulsive, but it has been a very difficult period of time for us. And I feel that things happen against my will. And again, I know my husband the best.
I'm not sure what you feel has happened against your will.
I do not have anything against my husband. I'm not accusing him of domestic violence. And
ma'am, at some point you must have been, and at some point he must have agreed with that. And here's the reason why I say that. Back on June 27th of 2023, he pled to a DV and also to an attempted resisting and obstructing. He pled to that.
I understand, Your Honor, but
after being explained all of his rights, he pled to that. And the only reason that we're here right now is because there was a motion to set aside that plea.
Correct.
So, and I get it. I mean, he wants it set aside for the plea, but the plea was set aside for other reasons other than I didn't do it. They was set aside for other reasons other than that. And so, while I hear you, it is a bit difficult for this court to think that nothing happened.
I understand.
He might be the most wonderful person in the world, but he can't come to me and tell me nothing happened. Because I heard it from his mouth.
If I may say something, we have to have in mind that a lot of times there can be a language barrier. And
No. Not going to be used. Don't even try it.
Okay.
Don't even try it, because if I had not understood something or had gotten the feeling he didn't understand me, the plea would have stopped. I would have gotten an interpreter. Okay. That's the way I always work. Okay. So don't even try that game with me.
Okay.
I heard his plea. He might be the most wonderful person in the world. That's fine.
He is.
But I heard his plea. So it's a bit difficult you coming before me, and I don't know what happened. I can just go on what people are telling me. I heard him. He told me.
Right. He was misadvised at that time.
What?
He was misadvised at that time.
Ma'am, you know what? Sometimes you have to stop making excuses. And at some point, you say, this is what happened. And then you figure out how you're going to deal with it. Everything in this whole circumstance, the reason this case is here, the reason all of these things are happening is not because he didn't do anything. Something. Now, I'm not saying he's guilty of the offenses. I'm not even saying that. But something happened.
I understand, but what I don't understand is why can someone, like the prosecutor's office, continue the accusations despite of me saying, I know what happened and I know what led to this, and I'm very aware of that.
Ma'am,
I don't know the law.
I don't, right.
Now she's trying to backtrack. She's trying to jump and land on the right answer. She thinks this is some sort of a test. And if she just keeps hopping from one thing to this is A, let me pick B, let me erase it, let me pick C, let me pick D. She's not understanding that at something happened. They need to explain. They need to find out and come to an agreeable moment
Exactly.
to resolve the issue. And her trying to find and studies and this, she's trying to be like a medical expert and testify. He's not on trial right now.
Exactly.
He's not really on trial right. They're just trying to hear what's going on. They're having like a hearing to see if they need to keep going with this.
Yeah.
And she's not really thinking about it. What she's doing now, whether she realizes or not, is she's just making it worse because
Yes.
she's not really thinking it. Like, once again, she's so frazzled now. And then what she's not realizing is she's making herself seem more and more like a victim. That she's trying to, and all the things that she's saying about socioeconomics and all this other stuff, she's trying to make it seem like, no, that's not me. But it does look like it's you. It does look like
The
it's
common
you.
denominator in this case is her.
But I don't know what individual conversations have occurred in this case. I can tell you, you're not being treated any differently, no better, no worse, as far as I can tell. He's not being treated any better or worse by the prosecutor's office. And ma'am, sometimes maybe there has to be a recognition that, particularly in domestic violence cases, that something happens, something which would constitute a DV. I'm not even saying in this case it did happen, because I'm not making any finding. But things happen. Then, for whatever a couple's reasons are, they attempt to try to reconcile. That may involve forgiveness for something that's occurred. It may involve something else. Whatever the reason is. But as they start to come back together, that doesn't mean something didn't happen.
Right, I understand, and I'm not saying it.
Their job, and I say their, the prosecutor's office, they put forth the interests of the people of the state of Michigan. Not you, but the people of the state of Michigan. Certainly, the interests of the people of the state of Michigan are to try to do our best to make sure that victims of domestic violence don't continue to be victims of domestic violence.
Correct.
And sometimes what that requires is taking a very hard line on what they do with cases, despite what may be a recanting of what was said earlier by the alleged victim.
There's a phrase that says you protest too much.
Yep.
She keeps saying in these studies and all this, like she's testifying something, and the judge is right. Something, and once again, her case for her is a one-time incident. Something happened. They don't really have to explain to anybody or whatever. That's between her and him. Okay, so it was between you and him, but the police got called.
Exactly.
He went to the hospital.
Exactly.
You had to hire a lawyer.
Continue.
And you're standing before a judge speaking.
Oh, and don't forget the part that
and he had
counts 3 and 4 have her name on it, and she out of her own admission said, "My name is all over the report, but nobody wants to listen to me."
But this is what I'm saying. Something happened between him, she and him, excuse me, and now everybody else is involved in this. And now she's trying to say, well, this is between him and I, but she should have said once again. But that's the problem. And whether she realizes it or not, she's minimizing any other domestic violence case by doing this.
Exactly.
That's their job. Because I'll tell you something, man. I've been sitting up here on the bench for I don't know how long, but many, many years. And I'm going to tell you that if they responded the way you want them to respond, there'd be a lot of primarily women out there who would continue to be victims of domestic violence, if not dead. That's the reality. And that's the reality that they have to deal with.
Right. I do.
So you can be as critical as you want. If you're looking for me to be critical along with you, not going to happen.
No, I'm not looking for anyone to be.
Everything Judge Simpson said just went right over her head.
She doesn't even understand how much she's negated the process of the court system, how many battered women cases she's just minimized.
It's undermining.
She's undermining everything. She's like, it's not it is a big deal. It's a big deal to the judge, and the jury says it isn't. When they look at the facts and they say, okay, this is two people having an argument and they got into a little physical or whatever, maybe they should both take some anger management courses. This is a small argument that got out of hand. But once again,
couples therapy.
Like she said, we don't know him.
Mm-hmm.
She does. So let us meet him. Let the judge meet him. Let the judge find out what kind of person he is. Let the jury or whoever, whatever process, let the process go through. And she, like I said, she keeps jumping in front. Why do you keep jumping in front?
Yeah,
You're not going to fix this.
Exactly. Plus, on top of it, again, the judge has vacated the motion so they can start this process all over again from the beginning. We're back to square one.
Right.
He took a plea. They're undoing the plea. So now he can.
So now he can explain.
He can have his day in court.
And he's had some sleep now.
And exonerate himself.
And he can sit there and say, you know, well, this is what was going on. A was going on, B, and they could take him through the steps that led to it, and they could say, well, let's see what we can do to resolve this. Because once again, if we're smart, let's be smart.
Critical. I'm trying to make people think outside of the box, to try to put the puzzles together, not take a piece of puzzle and say that's the image, because it's not.
That's why we have trials. That's why we have trials to figure out what happened in a particular case. But you want them to make a decision prior to it even getting there, prior to them even hearing any witnesses, prior to them hearing everything. And you want them to make a decision, quite frankly, based upon your excuses for him.
Sounds like she's obstructing.
It sure does.
The justice that has to be served.
Why do we have to think outside of a box? The laws are plain and clear. There's nothing to do. It sounds to me like sour grapes is what it sounds
No,
like.
it just sounds like, you know what? I keep saying the same thing. She's fighting so hard. But why didn't she if she knew he was tired? Because she knows him better than we do.
She didn't fight this hard to not put him in jail.
Right.
She didn't fight this hard to put him not put him in jail.
What? This is, and whether she realizes or not, the judge is trying to tell her, well, she sounds a lot like a victim, like she's defending because she doesn't want to have a problem.
Exactly.
Doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. And won't.
It's easier to be a doctor than to be a lawyer, I guess.
Oh, round. So Kitty has claws. You see how she sat there and she jabbed at him like that?
It definitely sounds like one of you that she obviously has.
Well, guess what?
Manner.
Right now, Judge Simpson doesn't need a doctor, but they sure needed a lawyer.
Yes, sure do.
They sure needed a lawyer because
interpret the law.
They're standing in before a judge right now.
So she didn't have enough to know that you don't make a phone call and you don't throw bricks if you live in a glass house. And she sat there and threw a brick, and now the chips are falling where they may. She can't take the heat.
You know what she sounds like? She sounds like she's like a laboratory doctor. Like she reads scans and things like that.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't actually do patient interaction, because the way she said that, like she sounds like she doesn't talk to people like on a regular and consistent basis, where she has to be like, she has to restrain herself.
Yeah, it's evident that she's that, if I don't get my way, now I'm gonna just get nasty, you know. And
maybe this is how the argument started, or whatever happened.
This is leading more to what caused. This is leading to show you why he spent 7 weeks in jail. Not him, her.
Well, If you like the demotion of being a doctor, that's fine. Because I prefer being a lawyer. I prefer the system that we have. The system I believe and have faith in works. If everybody does their job, and that includes the prosecutor, that includes defense counsel, that includes me. If everybody does their job, I believe that it works. To my core, I believe that it works.
Cheers to Judge Simpson.
Yes.
You see,
Shout out to the judge.
in spite of the fact that she was like borderline nasty and almost bordering on contempt, he still handled her with decorum.
He still comported himself.
And comported himself. I don't think
used the wisdom of the bench and his years.
I don't think she
and
speaks
dealt with her.
to people on a regular basis.
No.
I really don't, because the
She
way
doesn't
she
know how to
said
talk to
that,
nobody.
she doesn't know how to talk to
She
people.
doesn't. She has no. I bet you the only friend she got.
But you
is
know
her.
what? If this is her strategy to get him off, it might work, because you know what? Somebody might say, I feel like she egged him on. She broke him. She broke him.
I think him going to jail might be him going to jail might let him off the hook.
She broke him.
Yeah,
she broke
did.
him. She seems like she seems like she's one of those people that picks and picks and picks and picks, and it's not justifying like whatever could have happened, but she's one of those people that pushes and pushes and pushes, and then you say you're there, and she's like, well, we can't go a little further.
But it doesn't work based upon emotion for one side or the other. It is a very dispassionate system in that respect. And sometimes that rubs people the wrong way, but that's the way it's supposed to be. Prosecutor's office isn't supposed to be acting out of emotion. Defense counsel is not supposed to be acting out of emotion, and certainly I am not. I get you may want us to, but that's not how it works.
But if somebody represents someone, how come nobody gets in contact with that person? Why that person has to ask to discuss and tell their opinion and not be treated as it should? If my name is all over the report.
I don't know how you could be that bright and that dim at the same time. That's like she's one of those, like when the light,
that smart.
When the light is flickering, it's bright, and it is flickering, it's dim, and it bright. Like she's like, and he just explained to her that the law is not supposed to be on emotion. The law is supposed to operate on logic.
See, now, to what's happening now, it's why can't I have my way?
Right.
I want my way. Now she's going to,
which is the same reason why he got locked up in the first place, and she's not remembering that she's a complaining witness.
So she had her way. Her way was getting them locked up.
But usually, if you're the complaining witness, they're not going to contact you.
No.
The only way they would have contacted her is to say he's being released.
Now, you know what? The only thing that she might learn. The only thing she'll learn from this, well, I'm seeing it, is she might think twice about calling the police to get involved.
Exactly.
That's the only thing that's the only thing she's learned.
That's the only
nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
I would have expected from the very beginning somebody to get in touch with me, somebody like the prosecutor.
And they may, ma'am. I mean, this case has gone, I took a plea, it went to the other judge for sentencing. There's also a request to move to withdraw the plea. It had to come back to me. I looked at that. Counsel for the...
So she's one of those people that's bright and dim at the same time. She's like a light flickering. Like it'll have like moments of brightness, and then it'll be like, oh, a little.
Yeah, smart as she is, you're still not that smart. Yeah.
She's one of those people that probably could do a presentation and a study and all this other things, but to actually interact with a real person, like she could probably discuss the whole thing and all the steps involved, but to speak to the actual person that the study is probably about, she can't. I don't think she can do it. I don't think she can. She's very like robotic with a lot of things that she does, because he's explaining everything to her. She's like
bedside manner or presence. Yeah,
and he's explaining, and she's like, Well, why can't we? No, she's acting like she's a child and she doesn't. And
Very
if she
childish.
doesn't accept it, they're gonna fix it for her.
Defendant had to file a couple of briefs to me. I then made my ruling and issued an opinion permitting him to set aside his plea. That's why we're here where we are now.
Right.
All right. At some point, they may or may not reach out to you. That, quite frankly, is not that's not part of my bailiwick and what I have to deal with. What I have to deal with is trying to make sure everybody's here. Case moves along. That's my job. So I don't know. I understand you wanted to address the court, but ma'am, I don't know what you want me to do.
I want this case to be dismissed. The DV.
I don't have the authority to do that.
You know what she sounds like? She sounds like more and more. The more you hear, she sounds like a child. She sounds like a child that they're getting ready to have a birthday party for the child, but they're like, okay, why don't you go and play and get ready? But she's in the way, like they can't bring the cake in.
Here's the perfect word: spoiled brat. That's exactly what she sounds like. A spoiled brat.
Like they can't.
She used to get in her way.
They can't do anything because
she's not getting her way. She's mean and malicious.
The whole time we've been watching, everybody's been watching this. They didn't read the charges. They didn't read what happened on the report. And they had already set aside the plea. The DA and the defense lawyer could have had a whole conversation and could have maybe came up with something. But she had to say what she had to say.
This alone makes me want to know what happened.
I really want to know.
I really want to know the details.
At this stage, I do not have the authority to do it. Or anything else? Thank you. All right.
Yes, Your Honor, I have spoken with APA Hughes and we're in the process of negotiations. And I have pled to her and addressed the fact that, it's a case by case and I see clearly vigilantly that the complainant does not want this case to move forward. Either way, we are requesting an adjournment so we can hopefully have a resolution by the next hearing date.
Okay. How much time do you want to try to work that out and to talk with each other?
I was going to say at least 2 weeks, but I am not here on February 8th, so at least the 15th, please.
Ms. White, what works for your schedule?
One moment. I am available in the afternoon of the 15th.
I can't guarantee that to you.
I know.
So what about the 22nd?
22nd is good.
Ms. Hughes, will that work for you? Probable cause conference will be adjourned to February 22nd, 2024, 9 a.m. or as your invite indicates, defendant's bond will continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is definitely going to be a part 2 because we have to see.
I'm definitely.
We have to see what happens because I need to hear this case read. Yeah. I need to hear the charges. I need to I need to hear the police report.
What the circumstances were that involved the
elements.
Put a
fire emoji if you need to hear the police report. Put a fire emoji in the comments if you need to hear the police report.
Are they not there? Yeah. Miss Tana, how are you today? I'm doing well. Okay. Like I cared. Yeah. That's gonna work just as well. Yeah. It just,
Sorry.
you know, sometimes it's like running your head into a wall. What? I can't use that? No, I can. I can. Because it really doesn't hurt initially, but then after a while you're dumb. It doesn't matter. And then I've been a lawyer a long time. I know I'm on the record, but when somebody insults my profession and all of my friends that are in my profession, it ain't gonna work.
Thanks for watching.
And also give us a thumbs up, like, comment, share. Subscribe to the channel and you'll be notified of every video as they come up. And get that algorithm going and help us build this channel in 2024.
And make sure that you don't wind up in a what had happened situation.